What's happening, guys? Welcome to today's video. A little bit of a different one, mostly just me giving you a bit of a general life update on what's been happening since my last upload and why there's basically been no adventure New Year's videos as planned and as promised. So sit back, relax and enjoy. Alrighty, so I haven't posted a video for quite some time, as you can probably figure out why. Hang on a second. I gotta do something about that. Give me 1 second. That's much better. So, haircut done, because everyone knows that you can't have an operation done without a haircut. It's true, the internet said so. But anyway, so bit of background story. On Boxing Day evening, I was over at my cousin's place. I'm just having a bit of a party and whatnot, and ended up messing around with one of my mates and tackling and whatnot, and I have separated the AC joint in my shoulder. It's a grade 3. I'll try and put the x-ray screenshot on the screen for you so you can see it. But basically, the two ligaments that were originally holding the collarbone to the shoulder blade have detached. So now I'm going in to have surgery. They're going to put everything back in place where it should be. It's just out of line by about 1 centimeter or 2, and then attach an artificial ligament with a couple of screws to my collarbone, wrap it around my shoulder blade. I'll get a nice little scar for my troubles. Could have opted to not have the surgery and recovered just naturally, but had a good chat with my physio, which I'd highly recommend. I've been seeing him for almost 10 years now, and he gave me some good advice and said, knowing me and knowing what I like to do, which is to lift somewhat heavy, somewhat regularly, he would definitely recommend getting the surgery. There's a good chance I'll get to 95-98% of my natural strength back in the shoulder joint. So I'd definitely recommend that you have a good chat with a trusted healthcare professional, someone that you know about that. But I couldn't find a lot of information online that was really relevant to my situation when I was trying to make that decision. So going to keep that as part of the vlog as I go through the recovery process. But yeah, about to head off to the hospital now, get admitted at 3 p.m. I've been fasting since about 10:30 this morning, no food or water. So yeah, I will keep you posted after the operation, let you know how it went. Hang on, I can't do the generic social media person hand slap on the camera for a transition. What am I going to do? Try this. Alright, what's going on, everybody? It is now the following Wednesday, 16th of January. It's about midday, a couple hours now until I have my 1 week check-in with the surgeon after the operation. Basically wanted to just sort of let you know how the operation went. All went really smoothly. It took a lot longer than I expected. About 2.5 hours I ended up being operated on for, as my surgeon's real meticulous and wants to make sure it's all perfect, which I guess is probably the better of the two alternatives. But yeah, pain after the operation was much different than I was expecting, and much different to the pain that I'd had prior from the injury itself. So all the pain that I've been feeling for most of the past week has been muscle soreness in my traps and in my chest, because they're obviously getting moved around a lot from the injury, possibly in the operation itself. And mostly the trap is from sort of trying to carry the injury, not let the shoulder sort of hang too much. Apart from that, pain has been basically from where they sort of cut me open, for lack of a better term. So that's been quite different to feeling pain from the injury itself. Last night and this morning woke up with the most pain I've felt in the actual joint or injury area thus far, if that makes sense. So as opposed to feeling it in other muscles around it or just where I was cut, actually feeling it where they've drilled through the bones and attached ligaments and that kind of thing. So basically, this afternoon, got to check in with the surgeon. He'll take the dressings off, have a look, see how I'm healing up. He'll let me know what the next steps are from here, and that way, I can hopefully start getting on the mend as soon as possible. Obviously, I am recovering in the last week or so, just resting, that type of thing, which is still important, but I'm really keen to start actually actively contributing to the recovery, if that makes sense. So it'll be a good check-in. Hopefully I'll be able to get the dressings off because it's getting pretty itchy, and hopefully I'll be able to at least start training legs soon at the gym, which is good. But pain, has been pretty manageable. I'd say the first couple of days from when I actually injured it were probably more painful than the first couple of days after the operation. So now that I'm all fixed up and attached where I should be, the recovery process should be much quicker. So when I did the injury itself, I was off the painkillers about 10 days after the operation, after the injury, and it's been basically a week since the operation, and I've not really had any painkillers at all today. So that's good progress, much quicker. So I'm happy with that. As far as restrictions go post-operation, the main one is just trying to keep the joint as still as possible while the scar tissue and while my body sort of fixes to the artificial ligament that's now in my shoulder and really grabs hold of the screws and starts to fill the holes in my bones, that type of thing, that have been put in place. So keeping the shoulder joint itself immobilized as much as possible is really important. So don't overlook that if you do go down this road and do get the surgery. That's very important because the artificial ligament can slip out, and if that happens, then obviously you've got to get surgery again and start from scratch. So apart from that, it's staying in a sling sort of 4 to 6 weeks post-op for the first 2-3 weeks. It's just elbow supported movements, so just making sure that your forearms and your wrist and all that don't seize up, now to do your biceps and that type of thing. So it's basically just sort of like a bicep curl type action, but with your elbow supported and obviously no weight. So just moving the joint, because obviously when you're in this position for most of the day, or basically all the time, it's very easy to have those muscles and those joints seize up. So just keeping that moving is the aim of the game at this stage. Then we move on to some pendulum movements, so just hanging the shoulder and letting the joint and the new artificial ligament start to take the load of just the gravitational pull of the weight of the arm itself, and just moving the shoulder joint around, loosening it up. And then after that we start moving into some more mobility work and then strengthening. But you're not allowed to drive when you're in a sling, and that's again 4 to 6 weeks post-op. I'm thinking if we start pendulum movements in 3 weeks post-op, which is 2 weeks from today, I should be able to, at least at that point, start driving an automatic without the sling on. That's the plan at this stage, but we'll have a chat with my surgeon and my physio throughout the next couple of weeks and see what's the best option for me. But yeah, basically I just want to keep you guys all updated, because as I said, when I was trying to make my decision about whether to get the surgery or not, I couldn't find anything that was relevant or recent information. I might try and put some links to the type of surgery that I had in the description box below, so that if you are looking at the same thing, looking at the same type of surgery, then you can at least compare apples with apples. Some of the older surgeries were a bit more dated, obviously, because they were older, but they involved grabbing part of the tendon, I believe, from your hamstring and grafting that into the shoulder joint. So that would be far more painful, and the success rate was actually lower on that than it is with a full artificial ligament in place. So yeah, I'll try and give as much detail as I can, so that hopefully someone will be able to benefit from what I'm doing. And then, you know, if you are unfortunate enough to have the same type of injury, then hopefully you can look to this, and you know, it'll help you figure out whether or not you should opt for the surgery or not. But basically for me, the main deciding factor was being able to perform in the gym like I was able to prior to the injury, because that's something I do quite a lot, you know, 6 days a week, that type of stuff. So yeah, that's been a big part of my life for most of my life really. So yeah, I wanted to be able to still be able to perform in that, and hopefully still build up from that, because obviously I'm still quite young. So that was the major deciding factor. Could have, if I didn't get the surgery, could have healed up naturally. Then if I wasn't happy with things in like 6 to 12 months, could have come back and got a similar operation. But if you do that, the chances of getting back to, you know, 95 to 98% of your full shoulder strength are down to like 75%. So the best chances of getting as close to 100% as possible for me was to have the operation within the first 3 weeks of doing the injury. And I had it it was exactly 2 weeks post injury that I had the operation. So yeah, that's basically my ultimatum that I was given. Luckily, I did choose the operation so far. That's one thing I'll say. I'm glad I got it, because the surgeon came around the morning after the operation, because I did end up staying in because it was like 11 o'clock by the time I came to at night. He did come around and say when he cut me open that the collarbone was just sort of floating around in its own space. So I can only imagine the pain of doing 3 months of rehab and then getting into the gym, putting a slight load on it, and then just having the shoulder just basically collapse and the collarbone sort of pop out somewhere. So yeah, I think I've made the right decision so far. So far so good. Hopefully back to work tomorrow, which is really good. I was keen on a really hectic start to the year, but yeah, you know, these things happen. So we're now, you know, halfway through the first month, and I've only done a couple of days work actually in the office. So still able to do, you know, some degree of work from home, you know, with the laptop and over the phone, that type of thing. But it's a little bit different when you're trying to recover from an injury and you're at home as opposed to in the office and working. And obviously not being able to drive is quite frustrating and limiting as well. So the sooner I can get back behind the wheel of a car and get myself moving around, the better. But yeah, I'll let you know if anything unfolds after we see the surgeon this afternoon. Hopefully he'll be able to let me go back to work tomorrow, open homes on the weekend, that type of thing. And hopefully I'll be able to get the all clear to start getting back into the gym and just moving and doing some legs and that type of thing. So I'll let you know how we go. What's happening, guys? First day back in the office now. Post meeting with the surgeon yesterday, he said keep the arm stabilized, particularly the shoulder joint. Doesn't want me moving that really at all for the next 5 weeks. So stay in the sling for 5 weeks, just doing some stretches of the elbow, keeping that moving. Yeah, no driving or out of the sling for another 5 weeks. So I'll probably start doing some physio work in the next week or two, just to start doing some pendulum movements and keep things flowing. So I'll keep you posted with how that goes. But super interesting being back at work in a sling, not having a car. That's really quite painful. So yeah, I'll keep you posted with how we go. Just off for a cheeky Sunday afternoon, or Sunday morning really, inspection. It's now 11 days post-op. A little frustrating, can't just jump in the car, drive down and be happy as Larry doing an inspection like normal. But luckily I have good family members to drive me around. Good little inspection done now for 28 King Street. That'll wrap up the weekend basically. Sent a couple of follow-up emails with some more information on the property probably the contract, that type of thing. So we'll see what comes from that, but otherwise hopefully back into normal vlog functions for the next week or so. But yeah, we'll definitely make my recovery process a big part of the vlogs moving forward, so that hopefully some people can find some use in it, and hopefully they'll be able to use it to make the decision on whether or not they should get the surgery for the AC joint separation or not. See you soon.